As Boris said, I'm Regina Rodrigues from Federal University of Santa Catarina, Brazil, and I co-chair the Lighthouse activity My Climate Risk with Ted Shepard from the University of Reading in the UK. So I will start with a brief explanation about the WCRP Lighthouse activities, but Helen already explained to us a little bit. But although WCRP contributes immensely to improve our knowledge of the physical climate system through decades of international collaboration between thousands of experts across many disciplines, we recognize the need to develop climate information for decision makers on a local to regional scale, and more generally to bridge climate science and society. With this in mind, the new Lighthouse activities were designed to be major experiments, high visible projects or activities that truly integrated the capabilities and I mean scientific, technical, infrastructure across WCRP and with our partners. The main goal of My Climate Risk is to develop a new framework of assessing and explaining regional climate risk to deliver climate information that is meaningful at local scale. In other words, inverting the construction of climate information. In this sense, the three words in My Climate Risk are important. However, the most important of all is mine, which means your local climate risk. So this is our ambition. The new science that is pictured within My Climate Risk is not around models or observations or process understanding, but on how they are all used together with within a context of a deep uncertainty, i.e. with conflicting information and disagreement on which aspects of the information are most important. Specifically, My Climate Risk aims to develop and mainstream a bottom-up approach to regional climate risk, which starts from the decision context and the decision scale and enables relevant climate information to be brought into that context. By developing a new framework for assessing and explaining regional climate risk using all the available sources of climate information, we expected that climate information would be made meaningful at local scale, hence My Climate Risk. So these are some specifics of our science plan. First, the overall goal of My Climate Risk is to develop new paradigms for regional climate risk assessment studies, for example, through distilling generic versus context-specific aspects. The second is the key to this process understanding of the variability change of regional climate and climate extremes on target timescales with particular local context. My Climate Risk will largely draw on existing stakeholder engagement studies that have already generated knowledge on stakeholders' needs, working closely and locally grounded partners. A canonical activity would be to discuss current risk in a given situation with approximate explanation and then develop storylines of future climate-related risk based on those explanations. And Anna's talks, the next talk, will exemplify this aspect. In this way, the past can be related to the future within a risk framework. Based on these ideas, we are not organizing ourselves in a traditional WCRP hierarchical manner of panels and working groups, which we don't feel it's appropriate for My Climate Risk. So instead, we are proposing a structure around a non-hierarchical ecosystem of labs, communities of practice, like a microhousehold network, sharing resources rather than competing for them, and anchored by mother trees in the form of a regional hubs, similar to the concept of Wood Wide Web by Susan Simard. Moreover, we suggested that My Climate Risk be realistic and very practical, following the E.F. Schumacher's concept of intermediate technologies. It's a chapter of the book, his book, Small is Beautiful, from 1973, in which production methods should be used in workplaces located where people live now, rather than forcing them to migrate, cheap, relatively simple, using local materials and mainly for local use. Noting that in our case, we are producing information and we can draw on the worldwide storehouse of information through the entire WCRP and partners. So our challenges then. So we anticipate that we're going to have some challenges to this kind of a bottom-up activity that is not specific to WCRP with our proposed structure and vision. And the first one is the lack of continuity due to the project cycle mode of operation and science funding model. The second challenge will be is the stakeholder exhaustion, in which repeated engagement from researchers serves only the researchers and not the local people. Challenges in documenting outcomes and publishing transdisciplinary work. That is going to be the type of work we'll be doing. And last, challenge with regards to equity and legitimacy should be addressed by creating frameworks that enable the establishment of equitable partnerships. And this requires a shifting perspectives on and process related to the design, implementation, and evaluation of success. And here I'm quoting Vincent et al. 2020. And here I should add that the climate scientific community needs to change a bit its perspective, i.e. the way of doing science, not so much business as usual. And that is what we are proposing here. And we hope to have the support of many of you. So our next steps then are to grow a network of regional hubs based on and driven by existing institutions who share values with My Climate Risk. The regional hubs should support and connect the local labs and would be represented on the My Climate Risk science team, providing the connection to the rest of the WCRP. Connection to the regional hubs would be nurtured through a variety of mechanisms, including training to develop trust and build long-term equitable partnerships. So right now we are putting together the terms of reference where we will define a code of practice with not only the rules and responsibility of our partners, but also the benefits. We are also defining membership with WCRP and non-WCRP members that are willing to engage and help move things forward with a good regional representation. And we need to get the engagement of South America to work with us as a partner or hubs, sharing the same principles. Where, with My Climate Risk, we wanted to make sure that the involvement of end users and their local needs are taken into consideration from the start of the process, i.e. a bottom-up approach to deliver science in usable, decision-ready format. We wanted to contribute by addressing knowledge gaps in South America and delivering the information that is needed at local level, which hence the name My Climate Risk. Here I end my presentation with a few questions to guide our discussions after Anna's talk, such as what are the knowledge gaps in South America? But most importantly, how can we deliver the information that is needed in South America? And are there examples of bottom-up practices in South America? So, and that's what I would like to say, and thank you.